Hello, welcome back to the channel. I'm back in my studio today because I want to have a cogitation with you, if that's okay. I want to think about something that's been on my mind a lot. This is the digital world. Is it taking us over? Are we being suckered into a world of ones and zeros? Are we forgetting about the real world, the human world, the world that we actually are inhabiting? You see, I keep hearing the phrase that we are spiritual beings having a physical existence, which I think is an amazing idea and a brilliant concept. But it seems as if we're being pushed more and more into a different ethereal world of ones and zeros, a world that is actually non-existent. Now, you may have a completely different view, but the other day I was talking about whose face is it anyway, and I was considering the weird thing that we were having this face recognition technology that cameras can look at our faces and say, oh, that's definitely you. And then now, what with deep fake, we're saying to ourselves, well, how? How can that possibly be me? It might not be me. It's just a digital representation of me. We know that deep fake can, of course, make out that you're somebody else, or it's a complete fabrication. Look at this. This is just putting in deep fake into a search engine and getting the images up, and you can start to see here all the sort of different ways that people can be effectively cloned on a digital thing for videos. I mean, here we have Peter Cushing, look, and that was in the Star Wars movies. We can see various famous people. There's a deep fake of an ex-prime minister, not prime minister, what is his name, president of the United States. People are being cloned to look like that they are actually somebody else. Well, not look like somebody else, but somebody else is looking like them. If you know what I'm trying to say. I'm struggling here this morning, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. The point is, this deep fake stuff has made things a bit wary. I'm a bit wary now that actually what might happen is I could be taken out easily. I could be removed, perhaps cancelled from YouTube, from this platform. But I could have a version of me that just comes up. This may not be real. In fact, this video now may not even be real. This may be a deep fake version of me, and I'm telling you stuff that could be influential. You know, and so you start to think, hang on a minute, that's possible, isn't it? That the YouTube channels, I mean, we hear about controlled opposition, don't we? We hear that people can be shills. Maybe they started out all right, but maybe they were spirited away, and I'm not saying this has happened yet, but it could happen. They have been removed, or maybe placed in jail, maybe terminated completely, and an AI version of them, a deep fake version of them, continues to spill out information, perhaps the state's information, perhaps the nefarious people's information, to the public, and you wouldn't know. So how is it now that you can trust anything that's on a digital platform? This is where I get a bit worried. So look, let's have a look over here. Anybody can do it now, it would seem. Deep fake now, 5 free deep fake software picks that you can download today. And here they are. Let's have a look. There's one here called Deep Face Lab. And you can do face swapping, replace the entire head. You can age a person, change the lips, movements of a person. There's another one here called Face Swap, another exciting, it says an extremely popular open source one. Then there's Deep Art Effects. Deep fakes aren't just about videos, it says. Images are another very important part of this. So everything that you see online may not be real. Then there's Reface, this is another one. And then there's Machine Tube, whatever that is. If you're not a big fan of having bulky software on your computer, you can start making deepfake creations on Machine Tube. It allows the user to create their own deepfake phase and rely on the computing power of your PC's hardware, blah, blah, blah. So that's a worry. Isn't it a worry to you? I mean, AI, we already seen what with ChatGTP and these other AI versions that people are writing poetry. You just write it in, within seconds, it's turned up. And then, of course, you can write novels, you can do your homework, you can write theses. I could write a script. Be a lot more interesting, probably, because it's AI, than the rambles from a human mind that is thinking, hopefully, cognitively on the go. But it may be too slick. That may be the thing. It may be too slick and too much professional polish, so it doesn't ring true. I don't know. It'd be interesting what you think. Maybe you're of the generation that just absorbs all of this. You see, my thing is, I have one foot in the analog world because of my age and when I was brought up in the 60s and 70s, and another foot in the digital age. And I've embraced, of course, the digital age. I mean, it would be nonsense for me to say, do you know what, I'm going completely back to the Stone Age, where I'll get my Super 8 camera out and get a roll of 3.5 minutes of Kodak Kodachrome and film myself in, hopefully in audio, although it was more expensive to do that, but maybe in a bit of sign language on a silent roll of film, actual film, then send it off to Hemel Hempstead, as we used to do in those yellow envelopes, and then wait a week for it to come back, and then put it on my projector and invite the audience to come round my front room, where I'll project this bit of silent or maybe crackly audioed piece of stuff. I mean, I may as well just email everybody or write them a letter. I mean, it is a nonsense. So naturally I use the digital process of filming myself and uploading it. I mean, and it is an amazing thing. But there is this line, is there not? There's this line in which once it becomes digitized, it's manipulative. We know that, don't we? We've seen. I mean, one of the things that I'm worried about, I mean, hang on, before I get to that, if you put a photo up, you know, anybody can just copy a photo. They'll put all these sort of things. You can't right-click on a web page, but we know that you can just then screen grab it and put it into an art program, crop it, and away you go. And so digital is a very copyable type of stuff, and I don't care what people say. Oh no, it can't be copied, and we can protect it, we can put water things on it, but even with watermarks and stuff, that can be copied. How about this then? This is where I'm worried about now with things going, that people are talking about these CBDCs and digital money, and then there's supposedly other things like cryptocurrency, and here we see Bitcoin, and you've either got BTC or the BSV, whichever is the bank for me, and you've got all this sort of version of Bitcoin, but of course they're depicting it here as actual coins, but they're not coins, they're digital again. And I keep being told that this is, oh no, it's on the blockchain, you can't do it. There's one ledger that gets, copied, and so therefore it's decentralized. Yet it's one ledger. It's one ledger that everybody's got a copy on. I can't see how that's not decentralized if it's all on one ledger, that there's just copies of it, but that's for another argument. The point is, I don't know that digital whatever cannot be copied, that somebody somewhere at some point in time will hack it. And I don't want to rely on one person who's invented something and he has the keys. He may say he hasn't got the keys, but how do we know, and how do we trust anybody? So give me something in the physical world, like gold or silver, coins or tokens or something, an amount of something that has value, rather than something that is ethereal, in the sense that it is reliant on computers to keep it going. Whereas a lump of gold or a lump of silver or coins or tokens or even bits of paper don't rely on electricity and people having mobile phones that are fully charged and have the space and also the signal. I mean, there seems to be so many restrictions on making digital money work. It's a bit like going to a car park. If you go to a car park these days, because they want to get rid of real money, as in cash, let's say, and it may be fiat currency and controlled by, I don't know, the cabal or whatever, but that doesn't matter for the moment. At least you've got it in your hand and it's real. It's as real as it can be to our spiritual world inhabiting a physical world. But when you go to a car park and then you have to pay on your phone, you've got to download an app. You've got to have a mobile phone. It's got to have enough battery power in it. And you've got to agree to terms and conditions all the time. When you just put coins into a machine, you're not agreeing to any term. I mean, the basic terms and conditions are that when your time is up, that's it. You've either got to pay more or shift your car, you'll get a ticket. I mean, that's very easy to understand. It's very simplistic, and I'm a simplistic sort of person. But if you've got to agree to somebody else having access to not only your phone, which they may do, which you don't know about, because you've got it on your phone, of which there's all sorts of other data on your phone that could be collected. It's just very worrying, and it's the same for me for all this Bitcoin nonsense. It's somebody having access to an account, and you have to take it as read that they don't. Whereas if you're just able to pay in coins or notes, it's a private transaction. Nobody gets involved. It's not copyable. It's like, this is the coin and that's it. Thank you very much. And then take this digital world even further down the line, and we know that we're going to end up with this, what they want, the transhumanism. And here's some graphics that you only have to put into a search engine and you start to see. Here we are. We become these weird cyborg characters where we're part human and we're supposedly enhanced. Humans enhanced by a digital type of, it's bizarre, and I don't feel it's right. Now, I know that that we are physical people and we're having this spiritual thing, and I wrote some notes, and I don't know whether you would call this inspiration or a spiritual download, but it came to me this morning and I thought I'm going to share it with you, because outside of that bizarre digital world in which I think we're crossing the line, and it's dangerous to cross that line with our money going in that way, our transhumanism going in that way, wearing wearables and relying on the digital stuff, and all the other things, the deep fake, and relying on stuff. We're moving out of the real world. And I look, this so-called download came down the pipe, as it were, and into my head. Now, it may have just been inspiration. I'm not saying I'm trying to connect with my spiritual side, but I don't know. But I wanted to read this to you to remind you who we are, or how I feel. You can disagree. This is only an opinion, of course. So, and this just came out like one regurgitation, and I hope that this is the beginning of some sort of connection with my higher self, as they say. I mean, I don't know. So this is what I think about us as humans, having this, as spiritual beings, having a human experience, and where the line of getting into that, it climbing into a computer, effectively. I don't know if you remember, was it Tron, in which people were starting to, sink the idea that we're climbing into a computer, into a world that doesn't actually exist and that we can be switched off. So here we go. So this is what I wrote in this thing. We are infinite beings. We have the power. And I think that's true. We connect with our spiritual self. We are infinite. We are having this experience. The power is ours. And then I talk about they, and by they I'm referring to the cabal or the Illuminati or the one world government, the people who are trying to push us more and more into this digital world, into this world in which they can control us. So I'm calling them they for the sake of this. And I heard this, the next bit, I heard this somewhere else, and I think this must be true, because I think that we as human spiritual beings can manifest things. I don't think it's that easy, but I think it's possible. I'm hearing this left, right and centre more and more as we go to this thing that's called the ascension, which I don't fully understand, but I do believe it's a thing. But I don't think they the Illuminati, the one world government. I don't even know whether they're actually human or not. I think they're insanely jealous about our powers, and I'll go into that a little bit. I don't think they can manifest. I think they cannot do beauty. They cannot do aesthetically beautiful things. I think they can only do ugly. And I think as I say, I think they're incredibly jealous because we can be creative. They're ugly. That's all they can do with their synthetic foods and their artificial worlds and their bland and boring lifestyles they're pushing on us. I don't think they do creative. I don't think they do beauty. I think that they are actually quite base and their vibrations are low. The powers that they have are manipulation and psyop and distraction and theatre. They can't do anything genuine, because if they could, they wouldn't be doing it. And I think in order to control us, they need our consent. They can't just do it. I think they need our consent, which is why we saw with the injections a few years ago that they needed us, and they had to confuse us and convince us that we needed it. And that's why they need to make us feel inferior and want us to go to this digital world. But they don't realize, what we don't realize is that we are more powerful than them. That we are more powerful than them. But we are being groomed to think that we're not. We're being made to forget the powers that we have. We don't realize that we can survive without money. I know that's a strange statement. And to say this all came in one great big regurgitation. We can use the power for amazing things. We just got to realize it. We've forgotten. I mean, when we look back at these ancient civilizations and the things that we used to do, which is why all of this has been occulted, hidden from us. We must embrace it and we must believe it. We must remind ourselves that we are actually powerful people. We've been duped into thinking that we are just material beings, but we're not. Our power lies within, and we must use it in our daily lives. And then I went on and said, I don't know where this came from. It said, look up into the sky. They have made it grubby, but we can clear it. Collectively, we can move those clouds, which they are now covering us up with the chemtrails and things. And I think we can do that in some sort of mental fashion. And we can clean the sky, we can clean the water, we can clean the food, and we can clean the air. They need our innocence. And they need our children, the innocence of our children. They need our ignorance, which is what they're doing to us. They're making us ignorant of our power. They've cleverly hidden this power from us, and that's how they want to control us. But their time is running out, and they know this, and I think they do. Hence the digital push, the push to digital IDs, 15-minute cities, the net zero, the CBDCs. They're desperate, but we are waking up. It's over for them, and they know it, because we are waking up. We are remembering our power. We have love. They don't have love, but we have love. They have hate. And that's what they work on, and that's what they are controlling us with as much as they can, but it's not working. Love, of course, conquers all. They're finished. Breathe and search your power within, because you have it. Now is our time. Now is when we need to act. And we shall unite and put an end to all of this nonsense. If aliens, for example, I talked about aliens yesterday in the video I put out there, saying they're planning this fake alien psyop, an invasion that that they're going to push upon us to control us, to think that aliens are against us. But it's actually them, the cabal, the power, their power. But it isn't the real aliens. And I go on here in this download, if you can call it that. If aliens are out there, they're not coming for us. They're coming for them. but they're going to pretend there are aliens coming for us. They're finished. This is our time. Embrace it. Now that came to me this morning now I don't know what you call it, a download, inspiration. It just felt I had to write it down. And maybe I am connecting with my spiritual side because I'm spending more time meditating, I'm thinking about these things, but I think it's just the time of our lives. I think this digital world is a con. There's a line, and I mentioned that before, there's a line that we are foolish. We're foolish if we cross it. We've got to believe in ourselves, and we've got to embrace now this human experience, this spiritual power that we have within. And let's not give it away to them. Let's not have these digital IDs, these CBDCs, the belief in net zero, the con, the psyop, the theatre. We can embrace this new world, and people are waking up, and we're going to defeat them, and they're finished. I feel it so strongly in our bones, and we need to reunite, and we all need to feel this together. So that's my message that seemed to have come down. So and the digital thing, this is why I think it's so important to get out and see people, get away from the computers and the phones, and actually meet in the flesh, to see people, feel the energy force around us, our auras, feel the power of the heart, the power of the mind when we meet in real life, not just over Zoom. Zoom, for example, have now gone to the dark side, it seems to me, because they want to utilize AI and change and manipulate things. So I'm looking for some other platform for my interviews, because I think Zoom has gone to the other side. So I'm not using it now. I think we've got to get together in the real world and reunite and move back from that line in the sand that is this digital non-world. And I think the digital money, again, is another psyop. We've got to stay real. Embrace it, because I think they're finished and they know it. Thank you for watching.